Hey, I'm Nick Higdon. I'm a stand-up comedian out of Cincinnati, and I've been invited on the Full Spin Club to talk about Good Old Boys by Randy Newman.
Heck yeah, dude. Welcome to the club.
Thanks for having me.
That's where I made this song. Downtown Birmingham. Please will love you, Marie. The pity on the working man. I'm guilty, Louisiana. Here come the catfish. Beware of the naked man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Spin Club. My name is David Stewart. I'm the host of this online album listening club, and today, like Nick said, we are talking about Good Old Boys by Randy Newman. For those that are new to the show, this is a multi-segmented show where we have three main segments. The first one is called On a Pedestal. It is where Nick and I are going to talk about the three things we loved about this record. There is On a Spit, which is where he and I will roast or just talk about the lowlights of the album. And then the third section, which is On a Turntable, which is where I've sent questions to Nick ahead of time to talk about our lives and comedy and whatnot, with using the album as like a backdrop and as the inspiration for those questions. There are a couple of record scratch moments throughout the episode, a lot like the Daily Double in Jeopardy, which is where I have fun little mini games that I have conjured up for Nick to play. The first one being Hit or Full of Shit, our mainstay game, where I have takes that I've either come up with in my head or found on the internet, and we decide whether they're good or bad takes. With all that being said, Nick, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm happy you invited me in your cozy little home here. This is nice. I love the setup. I love the record choices. I love you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely. It's like looking in a mirror when you say that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
think the mirror's ever said it back to me.
This could be good. This could be good for you.
It's going to be weird therapy
I could FaceTime you twice a day and just say I love you. I think that'd be good for both of us.
until I start believing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, so part of the new era of the Full Spin Club that I'm slowly growing into is I'm allowing guests to either choose whether they want to bring an album or if they would like to be assigned an album. You are one of the people that decided to bring this album to the club, and thus I'm a little bit on the defensive as far as like having to hear something for the first time. So before we get into it, do you want to explain in a light, quick way why you decided to choose Randy Newman? Why?
Yeah, I feel like he's like just somebody that's been under like overlooked, underappreciated.
Sure.
Just kind of, because everybody just knows him as the Toy Story guy.
That's fair.
And it's very funny to go to people and go like, dude, Randy Newman fucking rules. Oh, sorry. Was that 30 seconds?
No, you're good.
All
Yeah,
right. Beep that if you need to. Yeah, no, I thought it'd be interesting, especially since you said you hadn't listened to him. I was like,
Right.
ooh, this is fun. It's always it's a shock, right?
Yeah. As the music guy in the scene, it's always like people always try to find stuff that I haven't listened to, and which, like, to be fair, is a lot. There's a lot out there, gang.
Yeah,
I'm no Fantano. Like, as much as I'd like to be, I'm not. So yeah, hell yeah! Thanks for bringing this album. I'm super stoked that you're excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. It's one of my favorites.
So let's go ahead and rip into Give Me a Word, which is I ask my guests to give me a single word for their most recent listen of the album, like that describes it.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My word is tough.
Fair enough.
My word is tough. This album was tough for me to listen to. Just because it's not my typical cup of tea, and B, I listen to most of the albums that I do for this show at the gym, and not the best.
No, that's fair. If you were twirling with like a baton or like, it's like some of it's carny music.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's a little bit of carny music, and it's definitely not me trying to do Cable Rose.
Fair enough.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of listening to full albums. I'm so grateful you're here. Please like, comment, subscribe. But in a second, let's go ahead and talk about our sponsor today, Worse Help. Worse Help is a platform for struggling artists to get on and get terrible mental health advice. It is the opposite of other telehelp therapy sessions where you, the struggling artist, are going to be put in a terrible headspace because what makes great art? Being mentally ill. We're so grateful to have them as a sponsor because I know as an artist myself that when I'm in a terrible headspace, I make my best work. So please go to the link in the description, go get you some terrible mental health advice, and go start making your best work. You will get 25% off your first session, And thank you so much again for tuning in. Let's get back to the show. But all right, man. Let's get into it with our first segment, On a Pedestal. Mm-hmm. Do you have your first highlight you want to share with the class?
Sure. I would like to highlight the music itself. I think it's some of the most dynamic music that I've ever listened to in terms of just like, specifically like on Rednecks, there is like this like kind of twangy, like I guess the right word's like a motif. Like he's like a twangy, but the way that most people would make that the centerpiece of the entire song, he uses as like an ornament. Okay. And he starts like swingy, and then it kind of goes into like, it's... Yeah,
so describe twangy for me. Like what you mean in his voice or in the music itself?
No, in the music itself. Oh, okay. There's like, the problem is I can't quite identify what instrument it is, but it's like kind of like got the honky tonk to it.
Yeah, like a sort of like steel guitar, kind of like...
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And I really enjoy like all the little flourishes he does, because he is, I don't know, man. And plus, this kind of bleeds a little bit into my second one, but just like I like how ragtime, kind of like old school, like Showtime it is.
Yeah, I understand dynamic because it's true. That is one of mine as well. He's clearly gifted with music composition. Like he knows how to write a song. That is one of my pedestals, and it's just kind of like nice little segue into that. He's truly dynamic in the sense that like he was writing this song in the 70s, or writing this album in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was mostly based in like, 1920s, like the South in the 1920s.
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
it has that feel to it.
Yeah, and it clearly shows that he's able to like write music outside of his own wheelhouse, or like outside of the times. Like it shows his knowledge of music theory is very strong. So I was like, that rocks. I can give him that.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things he said on his like debut album, which is like pretty much like all piano, no drums really, he wanted to do like rock and roll if there weren't the Rolling Stones, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So, like, if the Rolling Stones hadn't altered the history of rock and roll, what does the world look like?
Exactly. Gotcha. And that's where it takes him into like this like bluesier, jazzy. And also he grew up in New Orleans too, so knowing that kind of makes sense. Like, all right, so that's where this influence.
He grew up in New Orleans.
So he was born in California.
I was gonna say, I read he was born and raised in L.A.
See, he started, but then he lived from there because his mom's family was there, so they lived there. I think like early childhood, and because he talks about that a little bit in one of the interviews I've listened to, and then back to like L.A. because that's where like obviously like, the family business was.
Sure.
Which is like.
Yeah.
Movie composition.
Composing music for movies. Yeah. Cool, man. So, man, I had a point. Hold on. I think something we should mention up top that we have not yet is that this is, in fact, a concept record.
Yes.
And that, like, that kind of bleeds into my second. And it's like, I love a good concept album. It is, like, one of my favorite, like, ways people make music. Like, there's the Coheed and Cambrias of the world. There are, like, My Chemical Romance. All those bands that I grew up on that I think are really sick are usually lean into like the concepts. Same with like Pink Floyd. But like what an outlandish concept for someone, a white guy in LA in the 70s to write about. So for those that don't know, it is like essentially a concept album based in the South in the 1920s. And that is going to like that information seems important because I'm going to talk about that a lot. Like what an insane thing for someone to choose to write for like mainstream music.
Yeah, 100%. But it doesn't make a little bit more sense knowing that he like spent some time in New Orleans and kind of like.
Yeah, that does help because like as I was reading, like I didn't read too deeply, but I was like this boy was born in LA. What the hell?
Yeah, he was born in LA. Yeah. And then also, so like part of it's like in the 20s, but at the beginning of it, I think it is kind of rooted in like the early 70s because he's like referencing like for like Lester Maddox and stuff. Yeah. He's talking about like him on the Dick Cavett show.
And, sure.
And he's like doing but that so originally that seems like at least to me we can get in. I don't know if we want to go ahead and just like jump into like the album a little bit, but
sure, go ahead.
It seems like the first couple songs he's doing the 60s, and then it cuts to Louisiana 1927, and then from there on it kind of goes to like you know what I mean? Because then you have like the Kingfish and all that, and that's like 20s and 30s.
So You're a lot more versed in this album than I am. I think this is like one of the first albums on the show that I gave it a singular listen.
It was that tough?
I gave it a singular
Damn.
listen. So honestly, for the first time in the history of this show, 22 episodes in, I am a little bit on my back foot.
Okay, fair enough.
In preparedness. And I knew that you would be 100% prepared because you're 10 toes in on Randy Newman.
I love Randy
Yeah,
Newman,
you're
dude.
10 toes in on Randy Newman. So I'm mostly going to pick your brain, I think is like the vibe I'm going to go for as my hosting.
Oh,
duties today.
no. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm good. I'll defend Randy to an extent.
Yeah. So given what you've told me about how like the beginning starts in the 70s and then kind of jumps, do you think that's like a cinematic thing that he was shooting for? Like, because like in Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar, like it is purposely, like the track listing is purposely out of order because he wants it to seem like a Tarantino jump cut. Like you never really actually know the timeline of the movie until the end.
Right.
Do you think there was like that similar kind of intention there?
No, I think his is like when he does like the concept. I think it started because originally it started as a character Jay something. I forget the guy's like last name, but that's why like Marie is like referenced earlier in like in
Right.
Birmingham, and then like there's a song for her, and there's like some similar characters like throughout it.
Okay.
But I think he's going much looser with it. I think it was just a vehicle for him to talk about. Specifically, like, the political scene at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, rednecks. I mean, we can't not talk
that's
about
tough.
it. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a tough. It is, yeah. And I think he did that on purpose, as like this is like the shocking intro to the album. And granted, we had to, as like hard as it is to listen, you have to like put yourself. It is 1974,
Right. For those that may not be aware, the opening song "Rednecks" is littered with the N-word, like
Yeah.
crazy, like hard R N-words,
Yeah.
like which is just like with your 2024 goggles on, like is insane to listen
Yeah.
to. So if you take those off for a second and be like, it was a different time, like
that's gonna be the hardest one to defend because like I don't necessarily defend, well, not even necessarily, I don't defend like his use of it,
right,
but like. The album turns 50 next month.
yeah,
It's pretty old.
yeah.
It's pretty old. And there actually was a thing, believe it or not, where he would play it in Louisiana and they didn't get the irony. Or
Yeah?
or either that
They
or
didn't?
they did and they're like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this tracks. Yeah.
So he stopped playing it for a while.
It is like it's super divisive in that way, and I touch more on that a little later in the episode, so we'll like circle back to like him
Fair
being
enough.
ironic and like essentially the entire thing being satirical, and the risks that come with that.
Yeah.
But I think for now I'm gonna steer us back to our pedestal moments here.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I love concept albums. My third one is I appreciate the angle. So as far as someone who has like spent most of their life in some kind of creative field, attempting to do things or to like make their own shit, whether it's like stand-up music, making this show, anything like that, like just highly creative stuff. I love people that push boundaries like that. Those are the people that I gravitate towards. Like the comedian's comedian, like I usually like those more than like your average stand-up, or like the musician's musician, like the people that are like, if you're nerdy enough to get it, those are usually my people.
Yeah.
And I think like Randy Newman comfortably falls in that category of like a musician's musician or even a comedian's comedian. He's like both.
Yes.
To the point where like it's like if you're not hip, you're gonna hate it. But like if you are hip, you can like absolutely respect the angle, which is like where I'm at with it. Because like sonically, I wasn't as down. Which I like is tough for me to admit as the music guy, but like conceptually I was in. I was like, this guy does rule to an extent because of like the angle he was shooting for.
It is tough to defend that first song because like I don't know how to necessarily.
But I get
defend
the
it.
angle.
Yeah.
I get the angle, shock value, anything like that to get like in like I have a roast for it, but like next segment.
Yeah, you want to just hop into the next one because
you all done?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I was going to say is it kind of, I guess, is similar to the dynamic. It's the ability to, like, play in so many different spaces. He's doing, like, even though he's doing, like, the point of view of, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's, like, a low-class, like, Southern, like, exactly who who he's hanging out with would, like, make fun of.
Right.
And he's trying to like, I think he is trying to make fun of it while also like rooted in something. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to like go like, oh well, I know that they're these gullible, like silly, ridiculous with bad ideas.
Yeah.
But here's where they're coming from. They're getting beaten. They're getting destroyed. Yeah. But I like that he's able to do like upbeat, swingy, and then like Marie. Like, I mean, come on. Yeah. Just it's great.
Yeah, and I think like as like an extension of that, as well as like the extension of my appreciating the angles. Like, do I think it was an uphill battle to create this kind of thing and have it be successful? 100%, insane uphill battle. But I also like respect going into the battle. You know, like respect is like, because like any person would likely be like, there's no way this should probably get made, and he's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'm gonna make it. So like there is almost like a contrarian element to it that I do feel like akin to.
Yeah,
like,
to a fault. He's a contrarian to the detriment of his career for the first like 20 years of it.
And I think that like the only way that works is because he was so musically inclined, like that he had enough like in his like holster as far as like being able to create good music that he got to be a contrarian. I think there are a lot of people in all of the arts that like want to be contrarians off rip, and like but they haven't built the trust yet of like being good at what they do to be a contrarian. So like I do respect the shit out of that, is that he was like so good at what he does that he was able to like essentially convince people to allow him to do this.
Yeah.
And so that rocks.
And I mean, he's a smart guy. Like even the commentary on it. So musically, and then so the musically, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I will defend the music.
I have no
all day.
Like I have no issue with like clearly this guy's talented.
Yeah, and then the writing, the satire, and then like just the ambiguity of like some of the songs here. I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy that there's somebody that's that versatile, like versatile, that can do both.
Yeah. And I typically follow those people like creatively as well, like the Donald Glovers of the world, the Jordan Peele's, the people that are like Renaissance men of their individual craft. Like they're able to just do it all. Yeah, I love those people. I think they're sick.
Yeah, they rock.
Yeah, so it's cool to have Randy Newman join the fold, but at the same time, I wish I liked it as much as I like Childish Gambino albums.
Fair enough, dude. Let's get. You want to get into it? Let's get.
Yeah, we can get into the roasty bits.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're up to Honest Bit now. So I'm gonna go ahead and open. Since we already referenced it, I'll talk about Rednecks for a second. If Rednecks were a stand-up bit, I would have given the advice to maybe not open with it.
Yeah.
That's
so funny.
Maybe we don't open with this one, because I've seen so many stand-ups get up there with like the most ridiculous first bit where I'm like, you've earned zero trust in this room. You can't do that. And that's like the same vibe it gave me. I was like, as a new listener, I was like, I don't trust you yet, my dude. And he's just out here like, how about a hard R?
Yeah, he's like the drunk guy at a bar.
Yeah.
You're like in Boston or something.
Yeah. Maybe don't open with this one.
Yeah.
But I respect him in a way for doing it anyway.
Yeah. I think he just felt like he had to. Also, what really sucks about that song, it's the most catchy. That's the worst part of it.
You're just saying that because you live in Kentucky.
No, dude. I mean, out of all the ones you listen to, which one do you remember the most?
Yeah, probably that. Honestly, Kingfish, it might be one of the more memorable ones for me as well.
Yes.
But I also have I have a roast about that one.
Fair enough. My roast about Randy Newman, I mean, clearly he's just like the most uncool guy imaginable. No swagger at all. He's like, you know what it is? He's like all swagger, but kind of like no riz, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Like the album cover, the reason the album cover works is because he's so uncool.
Yeah, this dude doesn't pull like that album cover suggests.
No, and that's what rocks. And also, like, just one of the things I like about Randy Newman, because everybody knows him from like the Toy Story, You Got a Friend of Me, like the dude, and it's funny because that's what I imagine a turtle sounds like when it's like blowing bubbles underwater. Yeah. Like he looks like a turtle too.
Randy Newman is if Franklin the Turtle grew up and started saying the N-word.
Yeah, it was like racist. Yeah.
Yeah, that voice is so unique.
That's
like sounds like almost deaf.
Yeah, he sounds like what I imagine Helen Keller sounded like.
If Helen Keller got into singing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
And live, you wouldn't believe it. It's worse.
Oh, no. He also just talks like that. Because I watched a good amount of interviews and it's like, yeah, this dude's talking voice is just like that. It's brutal.
Yeah,
Congratulations for making it work for you so successfully.
Well, here's the thing. He gets covered by a lot of people. Like, so
Yeah.
a lot of his songs are like he's one of these guys that gets successful because like somebody that can actually sing does his song.
Yeah, so he falls in the category of getting cucked by other musicians, which Bob Dylan gets all the time. Bob Dylan has so many sick covers of his songs, and it's like that. Like again, and like Randy Newman falls into this category. It's like it shows that these people are amazing songwriters.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best performers, and so when good performers come along to like absolutely punch up their like what the already amazing foundation that's been put in place, it just rocks. Like All Along the Watchtower is like Jimi Hendrix. That is a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, in order to make that song good, Jimi Hendrix had to be so good at guitar.
Yeah, he had to be amazing at guitar.
You know how much LSD
and
he
on
had to do?
acid. Yeah.
Now, real quick, I know you don't want to do like too many bits, but can you do Bob Dylan?
Ooh. Like, I can, but I have to, like, channel the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like, Spiders song.
That's fair. I think it'd be funny if I do Newman, you do Dylan, and we harmonize.
Oh, my God. How are we going to harmonize? What do you want to... All right, let's talk about what we're going to sing, and then we can...
You want to just do you know, like, the first line to, like...
If we want to make it easy, we could do You've Got a Friend in Me, just from Toy Story.
Yeah, you want to just do that?
Yeah. All right.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
That's, yeah.
Honestly, I'm proud of that moment just now that we were able to do that.
That's what Hendrix heard on the acid. Those are the voices he heard.
And he's like, I got to make this better.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, the other shining moment of Bob Dylan absolutely getting destroyed by another band is Maggie's Farm when Rage Against the Machine covered it.
Yeah.
What a time.
I mean, poor guy.
I know. Just absolutely had to watch his work just get absolutely better. All right, my second one, since I've already mentioned it, taking on the persona of someone from Louisiana in both Kingfish and Louisiana 1927 gives Robert Downey Jr. playing the black guy in Tropic Thunder. That's what it gives me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now that you know that he grew up there a little bit.
Yeah.
But not in 1927.
Not enough.
Okay, okay, question.
Like, that's what it gave me. He's like singing so intensely from the perspective of those people that it is the same as Robert Downey Jr. being like, let me collar up some of them greens.
Yeah. I think, but he's singing from the perspective of like white people down there, which doesn't make it better, but it almost somehow makes it worse.
It just gives me the similar vibes of someone absolutely like just stepping into an insane role.
Yeah.
And like, but 100% committing.
Oh yeah, like a Glendale like liberal guy that's like I know what it's like to work. Yeah, I get it. And meanwhile his family's like just fair enough.
Littered with Oscars.
Fair enough. 9 of them.
Yeah.
44 nominations.
Yeah, 44 nominations. Like yeah, his family is just like littered with Oscar nominations for writing music for movies. So like the fact that he's like, give it up for the working man. I was like, what working man, bro? Like,
no, but I will to defend that a little bit. He did work. Oh, I know it's gonna sound bad. He worked the road a lot as a musician because he was like, I think he had trouble getting into because he didn't really compose like his first like film score until the 80s or so. And you know, this is a good 10 years before that. I think he was talking about like working the road, like doing that thing, which road comic,
road dogging.
Yeah. So I think he he was like writing about what he saw down there. But yeah,
This is like comedians writing airplane bits because they're traveling so much.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, state fairs. He's been playing state fairs for 4 years.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna say it.
He's like, you know how many carnies I've talked to in the last 5 years of road dogging it? I'm saying it.
I'm saying it.
They're all saying it.
Yeah. At least, also, the end of the end of Rednecks, the last part of it. What'd you feel about that?
Brother, I have an admission to make. I don't remember the end of it, to be honest with you, because, again, it was a one-listen deal for me.
He's like making fun of the North, making fun of the South because they're just as racist by putting them in a cage in Harlem. And it's free to be put in a cage. And it's like, that's the turn on that song where you're like, where it's like, all right, not passable, but like.
Well, it's like the red herring for the irony. Like it's what lets the audience know that, hey, everybody, this is ironic and satire. Like, it's the grounding moment.
Yeah, and also before that, like, I'll be honest, it's like edgelord humor to an extent.
Yeah,
he's going like, because he's going, before that he's like, don't know her ass from a hole in the ground. Like he's like, it's like they're punchlines, but it's like not. You're like, all right,
it's a little hacky.
Yeah, it's like Weird Al territory, that part.
Yeah,
but then the flip at the end of that part where he's just listing off like all the like, dude, it's I don't know, it just, when I first listened to that album I was like this guy is a genius.
All right, you know what, gang, come with me, we're gonna listen to it one more time after the show, and while you're at it, if you're still listening, I love you so much, please like, comment, subscribe. We recently got to 50 subscribers, which is what I was lamenting on the last episode. We were not crossing yet. My goal is to get to 100 by the end of the year. That'd be super sick.
Hey, cheers to you.
Thank you. So thanks to everyone like you, and we will, keep striving. But come on, gang, let's listen to Randy Newman one more time to give Nick, a little gift of caring about what he cares about.
I am a big fan. All right. You want to go to the next roast?
Yeah.
So you had the fact that he's doing like
that he's doing Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, he's doing Louisiana face.
Yeah, he's putting Louisiana hot sauce on there. All right, that's fair.
No,
fair enough. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound self-deprecating, but his fans are so annoying.
Oh, I feel that way about Tool, and I'm a big Tool fan.
Yeah.
Like,
You're a Tool.
Yeah, I'm a Tool baby. I'm a big Tool fan, but their fan base sucks.
Yeah, they're like you got to know math to understand it. Yeah. It's about the parabola. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. It's boring.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. I've just played around.
Like it is nerdy, and like I think I appreciate the fact that you can get nerdy with it, but you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a prerequisite to enjoy Tool is to be into math. Like, if you are into math and you like insane time to signatures, for sure.
Yeah,
nerd out, dude.
Sometimes I like Tool, but sometimes it borders on like neckbeard. Like, you don't understand it because you don't know the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, you don't get it. Yeah, it's because you haven't done enough DMT. Like, it's no.
It doesn't sound good. It sounds great.
Yeah.
I like Tool. I do like Tool, but I had to be convinced on them. I did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was one of those people that got convinced as well. And then as soon as I was in, I was like, well, damn, this does kind of rule. But yeah, the record right
noticed.
there. But yeah, man. So my last roast is, I've already mentioned it actually. This is the world's worst record to work out to. It gets the Full Spin Club Razzie Award for the least motivating soundtrack to lifting weights of all time.
Fair enough.
It is brutal. But that's also on me for choosing that as my activity.
Yes, and also
listen.
You saw Randy Newman. You know he's not thinking about the gym.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, dude's been big forever.
He's been big.
Yeah.
He's not really, actually, when you see him, he's not that big. It's the neck.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of, I think he's got a lot of, like, he's got the gizzard.
Yeah. He reminds me of that Chris Seymour bit where, maybe you weren't around for it back in the day, but Chris Seymour had a bit where he's like, if my neck gets any bigger, my belt's not going to fit around it.
Who the hell's Chris Seymour?
Oh
no, cut that.
He doesn't watch this.
I love Chris. It's just funny to do that. Yeah, I do. I have heard him do that joke.
Okay,
I do like that joke.
Yeah, Randy Newman has a similar issue.
Yeah,
similar ailment.
Chris Seymour is the Brown County Mark Twain.
Fair.
That's how much I respect him. I gave him the Mark Twain.
The Mark Twain of Brown County.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm leaving both in. The fact that you questioned who he is.
Yeah.
But then followed it up with a very complimentary moment.
Yes, I think he's great. Dude, for my last roast of it, I truly could not think of a third one. I love this
wow.
album so much. No,
I've fallen into that trap before where I'm like, I got nothing. No notes.
The biggest, this isn't necessarily, this is kind of a roast, but it's more so just like the one real gripe I have about it. But it's hilarious he did this. Every Man a King. Did you see who that features?
No.
The entirety of the Eagles.
That fucking rocks.
Yeah, and it's a song that just is piano and vocals.
Okay.
And it's the one that's like, why we all weep and sleep, and every man a king. You had 4 incredible musicians there, and that's what he does. It's like Frank Ocean using Beyonce as backup vocals.
Yeah, that's brutal because the Eagles are like known for their harmonies. Like,
yeah,
where are those?
Where are they?
Yeah, where are those?
That's how bad of a singer Randy Newman is. That he kind of made the Eagles
sound bad.
And fun fact, Don Henley actually introduced him in his the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like the introduction, or induction, I should say. Don Henley did it.
That rips.
Yeah.
I mean, again, respected musician.
Yeah.
You know, a musician's musician, a comedian's comedian.
Yeah, dude.
Randy Newman is both.
If you took if you took the lyrics out of that, like the whole thing, and just listened to the music, I think you would have a totally different opinion on the album.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Like, if it were more my vibe, I'd be 100% in. I guarantee it.
Fair enough.
All right. So, I definitely missed an opportunity to play a mini game earlier when we were covering You've Got a Friend in Me as both Randy Newman and Bob Dylan.
You're welcome for the clip.
Yeah, that's going to be a good clip. It's going to be silly. So let's do a record scratch, and we might do both the record scratches right in succession because I'm bad at time management. But we're going to do a mini game called Walk a Mile. So because Randy Newman is took such leaps to put himself in the shoes of others to write this album, I thought you and I could do the same by playing the game Walk a Mile, which is where I have prompts for writing a bit as someone else.
Okay.
So, or writing like a bit for someone as someone else.
Writing a bit for somebody as somebody else.
Yes.
Okay.
So, for example, and I threw you this one because I know you love him a lot. So this is, you're going to write a Rory Scovel bit as Kermit the Frog. So this is Kermit the Frog writing a Rory Scovel bit.
Okay.
And you can take your time. I say this in this show all the time that I'm going to edit something. I'm going to do it in post. You are 100% allowed to take your time.
This might be the hardest one.
Okay.
Let me go pee real quick. Can I go?
Yeah.
Can I go pee and then come
This
back?
this actually forces me to edit in post. So because I'm so lazy about it. So like quick edit right now. It is very funny, and I am 100% editing this in post to make it look a little more seamless, but I am going to insert this little bit right now that I can hear Nick practicing his Kermit the Frog impression while he's peeing in my bathroom, and that's just funny. So I'm going to leave this part in, but, enjoy the rest of the show. It'll be awesome. Yeah, so the idea behind this was like also like other people who do this kind of thing were like the Beatles. The Beatles would like come to record and they'd be like, what would it sound like if the Beatles wrote a X band song?
Gotcha.
So that's that's what this is all about. It's just getting in the shoes of other people because I think it'd be funny.
All right. Have I ever told you about my wedding night? That sounds like Bullwinkle. Holy shit. That was by doing Kermit, I did a perfect Bullwinkle. Yeah. Cut it out.
All right, ready? This is Kermit the Frog doing a Rory Scovel bit.
Did I ever tell you about my wedding night? It definitely wasn't kosher. Whoa! I'm porking my wife who's a pork.
It's just turned into Seinfeld.
Yeah, which is a good segue into our next one.
Oh, okay.
This one is Jerry Seinfeld writing a Nick Higdon bit. You're welcome to do your own. I can do one as well.
Okay, I'll do one. Why fuck pancakes?
Yeah.
Why fuck pancakes? The pussy's right there. Waffles. If you fuck a waffle, it won't fall apart. Why?
pancake. You don't even cook it in a pan.
It's on a griddle.
It's on a griddle. It's not a cake. It's bread. Fried bread.
I think mine, because I was going to do the pancake bit as well.
Yeah.
Check out Nick Higdon's Instagram. It's linked in the bio. So if you want to know what we're talking about as far as his bits,
I have already deleted it.
You've already that bummer.
It has been scrubbed from the internet.
Check out the internet. Check out his Instagram anyway. Follow him about what he's doing. All right. Or Jerry Seinfeld doing a Nick Higdon bit. Let me think of one of yours that is like, I never understood the rat tail. I never understood it. Why have it? Why have the rat tail? Just cut it all off. Why would you leave that one little bit? It's like missing a spot.
That's pretty good. Can I do another one? I'll do one of unreleased, or not unreleased, but one I don't really do.
All right.
I don't do as much as like. I never understood what the hell is that? I can't do voices. Is what we're finding out. I never understood tampons.
You put it in, not on.
You put it in. How lazy do you gotta be? Just shove something up there. Put a little rat tail on it. Who suggested that?
You put it in.
Did a guy come up with it? Some lady came in. She's like, honey, it's bleeding. It's like, I don't know. Just clog it. Give it the clog.
This is 100% believable.
Shove something up there.
This is 100% believable because I have full faith that Jerry Seinfeld has no idea how tampons work.
Yeah. Well, his girlfriend wasn't old enough to use one.
I mean,
come on, dude.
Come on.
Come
right
on. Took an hour and a half of
Swish.
me rambling about Randy Newman, and we finally got to...
Oh, man. This episode's clip gold so far. All right, last one. Jay Leno writing a David Stewart bit.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? I'm fucking sad all the time. I'm so sad. Everybody I see reminds me of my ex-girlfriend.
Oh my god.
It's like, what is this? What is this? What is this? This life I'm living? You know, the other day I was driving one of my beautiful cars, and about fucking ran it off the road. I was listening to Radiohead.
I want it on record that my bits are less sad now, but there was a year stretch where I relied very heavily on my poor mental health to write jokes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of...
Can you believe it? I used to be ugly. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? I used to be uglier. I used to be big. I used to hate myself more.
I used to be fat as hell.
I used to be fat as hell. Now I'm not so fat.
No, I'm not fat.
Now I'm fit.
Now I'm just doing Cartman.
Now I'm not fit.
All right, what's mine? I was like, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? I was talking to my therapist the other day, and she said the word retarded. That's a crazy thing to say. Did you hear about this? She's a therapist. She's supposed to be healed. She's not healed. Heal me. Heal yourself, then heal me.
Heal me.
That's it. That's all I got.
Dude, the problem is if you do Jay Leno long enough, it becomes racist.
Yeah. Wait, racist in what way? Wow, that was crazy, Nick. I can't believe you did that on camera.
Whoa.
Wow. Sorry for the people at home.
No, cut that. Do not show that.
Man, what the fuck?
All right, well,
I'm
that
a
was...
fucking sad sack. I'm such a sad sack. I go around, I'm so sad all the time. I'm a fucking...
Now it turns into Mike Tyson. That's who it is.
It's Mike Tyson.
I'm a fucking sad sack. See your ass in the ring.
I used to be a monster.
I used to be a monster back in the day.
Oh, God.
Now that kind of sounds like a Jewish grandma doing Mike Tyson. It's Bubby Tyson.
Bubby Tyson. All right, that
You
ends
never
our
call-
first
you're
mini
so
game.
fit.
Walk
You're so
a mile.
And then if you do Bubby Tyson, then it sounds like Jay Leno again. Explain that. Talk about a full spin.
Yeah, talk about a full spin. Explain that, Tool fans.
Go ahead. Show me your dumb equation for that.
Okay.
Equals MC squared.
Thank you for playing the mini game Walk a Mile. We're going to go ahead and lead right into our second record scratch, Bang. And this is hitter full of shit. We're going to talk some takes before we get into our final segment of the show, which is on a turntable. But this time around, I have 3 takes that I've written here. I believe that they are all from me instead of the internet. So we're going to decide whether they're good or bad takes. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. My first take is Randy Newman is just a classic Nepo baby.
Hit to an extent.
Because he grew up in his family of, music composers who were writing for movies. And, of course, what a time to live in L.A., right? In the 70s, boy. Which means, like, his older family members were living and working there in earlier generations, which is, like, even more of a lit time to already be in L.A. So I consider Randy Newman a Nepo baby.
He definitely... it definitely played a role into it because he used to get taken to see the orchestra by his uncle. Not as often as you'd think. And also, but I will say this: I think they didn't have as much money as like you would think. I think he lived a pretty like lower upper or like high middle class,
which is like fair. A lot of LA was that at the time, like because now like inflation, when we talk about inflation hitting, like it's like, oh my gosh, LA is one of the most inflated cities ever. Like you could afford a normal family home out there, no problem, back in the 70s, not even a thing, like on a normal salary. So like it's completely believable that he's not like instantly affluent and crazy, like totally believable. But still, the exposure he had to like the movie industry and everything, 100%, it had to have helped him. Right?
100%.
And like, no shade. I try not to throw shade at Nepo babies, honestly, because I'm like, would we do any different if we were in those shoes? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I would not. So like, most people are just haters because they'd rather be them than the person they're talking about.
But I will say his nepotism is what made him probably very, very good because he was exposed to that. So he was playing young. Sure. You know what I mean? Like
some people are just like, this is the life you're in, dog. Like,
might
as well take advantage. But it also makes sense why he's like a musician's musician and a comedian's comedian is because he was already around all this high level stuff, right? Like he's just there and knows how to make those and knows how to push certain buttons, right? Of the people around him. First one's a hit, good for me. Second one, writing music is a bore to Randy Newman. You're welcome to ask me more before deeming it hit or full of shit.
So, in terms of bore, like it's so easy for him?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it's somewhere in the middle because it's a hit for maybe his composition, like he's like turning it into Disney, right? It's probably still a little bit of a challenge because he can't be like too snarky in it. Yeah. There's a couple songs he has like snuck. James and the Giant Peach, he talks about how there's like no heaven in one of the songs. So he does still sneak it in there. But I think once he got into the rhythm of it, it's not, I wouldn't necessarily call it a bore, but I don't think he's trying as hard as like.
Yeah. So I say the reason I thought of this is because like the reason he's so satirical and so into like being a contrarian is because like the sheer act of writing good music is boring to him. So in order to make it interesting to himself, he had to have that edge to it.
Yes. And
so that is like, I was like, because like I almost felt akin to it in a way where I was like, I am bored. How do I make this less boring? And that's his version of making it less boring. Is making it like just through the roof, like ironic.
I'm with you on that. That's a hit.
Okay.
I feel like that's a pretty good hit. That's seems like most of what he's doing, he's like kind of handicapping himself a little bit.
Right.
But also, like I think truly, it wasn't like he's going out like let's make it completely hard on myself. I think that's what he would have naturally written anyways, to an extent. It's not like Stevie Wonder,
because he's bored of like he could write a pop song in a minute. What I'm saying. He could write something completely normal in a minute. But in order to feel challenged, I think that's like where his creativity took him because he wanted to feel the challenge of writing something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like something to like push his own boundaries, like which is just shows me that like doing normal shit is boring.
Yeah, I think he's definitely like kind of an asshole in that regard.
Yeah.
He's like, because I was thinking like his counterpoint, somebody who's as talented, if not more talented, like a Stevie Wonder, like where it feels like that's coming from his soul. It doesn't feel like he's like even trying to disguise it with a hint of irony.
No.
Versus like Randy Newman. Somehow the irony is like it's like gives him permission to like be open.
Okay. So like I get that in a sense as a comedian because like we're all hiding behind something, right? I think I've even mentioned it on this show before. It's like your creative outlet is your buffer between you and like the raw idea, and so like that is fair. Like that it gives him permission to be more raw.
We talked about this before the pod, like a couple days ago, this specific song, but Louisiana 1927. Would you say that he's being ironic in that? Because I think he's being very genuine in that song.
Yeah, but genuine from a certain perspective that may not actually be his.
Yes,
like he's expressing genuineness. He's expressing the very raw version of being genuine, but it may not be his authentic, genuine feeling because it's not his authentic perspective.
Yeah, I would argue he is being genuine in. Funny enough, I think he might. Oh, this is gonna sound really bad, but in Rednecks, I think he is being genuine through the irony in terms of like. He's obviously doing like this ironically and to be like shocking, but I think he was genuinely kind of like frustrated with the way that like viewers of the Dick Cavett Show kind of saw themselves in some way, because it's like, what exactly are you doing for progress?
Yeah,
if you're doing this thing, I think he's trying to. I think he genuinely did kind of feel that of like we're not doing enough.
Yeah, well, I think he's a smart, frustrated guy, because usually that's like where irony comes into play. Even in my own life, sarcasm and irony comes from me thinking I'm intelligent and like being frustrated with someone. Like if I'm being sarcastic, it's because I think you're dumb, and like if you're smart enough to catch on to the joke, then that sucks. Yeah. But so I think it has to come from a place of frustration, as like, and then also being like, I'm gonna stoop to your level to show you how fucking stupid you look.
Yeah. I think that also like there's one line in Birmingham that always gets me where he's like talking about like he has a dog named Dan to meet his dog and all the land, and he just goes, "Get him, Dan." Like he's playing around. He's that's so funny to do. And then like in the Cherokee the wedding from Cherokee County. I don't know if I can repeat the beginning of it, but it's like. I mean, I'll say like he's like, Daddy was a midget, Mama was a whore, Grandpa was a newsboy too, was 84, slimy old bastard he was, and I think like he's kind of like, I think he's kind of hinting at the Grandpa being like a pedophile a little.
Oh
bit.
no!
I like he's doing all this weird stuff, and then in the God, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. Naked Man. How'd you feel about Naked Man?
Again.
It's one that you skip over. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Go back and listen to that one.
Okay.
I think you'll think he's doing like a cutesy little thing, but he kind of also hints at incest in there, like very slightly.
Totally.
I don't know how else to read it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give it another go.
Sorry, I feel like I'm being obnoxious on this. I'm like, listen to this again and they're gonna listen to like this once and be like, yeah, no, you're wrong. Now I gotta be like, yeah, you're probably right.
You never know how many Randy Newman heads are watching the Full Spin Club.
True. Yeah. I defend it to some extent. I really appreciate what he does.
Yeah. But okay, so to circle back.
Sorry.
Did it end up being a hit that we think Randy Newman was mostly bored or like that boredom drove this sort of creative edge?
Yes, I think boredom specifically with the industry.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
The music industry usually just gets mostly hate from people who are in it.
Especially somebody as ambitious as Randy Newman. Yeah.
Like in one of his interviews I saw, he was even like, I'm trying to change the way the Western world looks at music.
Yeah, he's kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
He's a dickhead. I just think I really just love him though.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. Letterman liked him so much. Sorry.
Fair. Are you ready for the last one? You kind of actually talked about it a little bit as far as like slipping things into Disney. But my final take is You've Got a Friend in Me is an Easter egg gay joke Randy Newman snuck into one of the most successful family movies in our lifetime.
Miss.
This was a reach.
No, I know where you're going with it. I think he was genuinely trying to write to like, you know, I think that is a surprisingly genuine song.
Okay. It's because like the reason I thought of this was because like at my last job, I was designing UIs for software, and my designs like specifically don't go to production, so I'm able to like fill in copy wherever. because it's just placeholder text for like a user to actually put in real text. Mm-hmm. And I would slip in Easter eggs into my designs and present them. And so I was like, Randy Newman and I are like similar enough to where like I wonder because of the boring thing, mm-hmm. if he was like, this makes this more fun for me if I slip in a little joke in there.
I would say I think it definitely crossed his mind knowing him.
Yeah.
But I think the way he approached movies was, mm-hmm. I'm a hired gun. Sure. As the way I occupy characters in my own song, I'm going to occupy this character here and do it
fair
justice.
Totally valid. Yeah.
Which kind of why Toy Story's soundtrack, I mean, let's be honest.
It rips.
It's pretty damn good.
He wrote one of the more emotional songs in my life. It's from the second Toy Story. It's Jessie's song where mm-hmm. she's singing about getting left, and abandoned. He wrote that. Sarah McLachlan sang it, but he wrote that song. And
when somebody loves me.
Okay, I'm going to cry.
It goes back to the thing. He needs to be cucked in order to be successful.
Fair. Yeah, Sarah McLachlan just knocked that one right out of the park. Can you imagine if Randy actually sang that song?
That was Bob.
Yeah.
You get when somebody loves you, everything was beautiful.
There it is. You have to go down.
Yeah.
When somebody loves you, everything was beautiful. Every hour.
Can you imagine Sarah McLachlan getting the test track? Mm-hmm. And it's just that.
Yeah, it's the guiding vocals. She's like, Randy.
Brother. All right. Well, that wraps up Hitter Full of Shit. We got 2 hits and 1 full of shit. That's not terrible for my takes. I'll take it.
Yeah. And that was almost a hit. I think like if he were maybe further along in his composing career, mm-hmm. maybe he would have snuck one in.
Yeah.
But at that point,
yeah. Fair. All right, man. That brings us to our final segment of the show, On a Turntable. I sent you these questions ahead of time. We're going to talk about Randy and some comedy stuff. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the first question I sent you was, Randy Newman using fictional satire as a vehicle for his songwriting is a risky practice, given songwriting is typically authentic in nature. Stand-up has a similar risk. Are there any bits you do that are wholly fictional, and do you fear that risk of seeming authentic when you're 100% kidding?
I kind of want to go the other way. Like, okay. I think the first couple years of stand-up, I was coming off almost like too inauthentic.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know, man.
I think a lot of stand-ups struggle with that in general. It's usually my advice is to find your authenticity, which is, like, huge, like mm-hmm. a huge ask.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, go find yourself.
You know what it is? It's like I came off, like, I think, and I'm sorry. Can you ask me the question again? Because now I'm scared to actually talk about myself. The thing, the thing that actually, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Take it again.
So it's like Randy Newman using fictional satire as a vehicle for songwriting is a risky practice, given songwriting in nature is typically authentic. Mm-hmm. Stand-up has a similar risk where you can get up on stage and tell people something that sounds authentic, but you're 100% being ironic. Like Ricky Gervais runs into this. I believe Jesselnick runs into this. Like mm-hmm. the people that are 100% writing fiction for the sake of writing fiction.
Yeah.
And like, do you have any fictional bits that you're afraid of people taking authentically?
Not so much anymore.
Okay.
But definitely like when I started, and that's what I mean. Like when I'm like, I guess I'm getting like a little convoluted because whenever I'm saying like I want to come off like more genuine and be like mm-hmm. more real with it. It's like I think that I'm writing stuff genuinely, and it's like mm-hmm. maybe coming off ironic. I don't know, but there's one joke that definitely I was being ironic, mm-hmm. and people took the wrong way, and I think it's a great joke. Mm-hmm. But like I'll just do it if you want.
Go ahead.
So it's like technically it's a good joke. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, there's a lot of like bad guys out there. There's guys out there that only see women as like a vagina, and I think that's bad. Like, do you know my favorite part of a woman? I love the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about? That little whole thing? What's it called?
Oh, my God.
Oh, is that a vagina? Oh, never mind. That's the only part I like.
I like the vagina.
That's what I like. Fuck. Yeah, they're right. They were right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a good technically written joke, but I can see how, like, you would receive a little bit of blowback.
Yeah, because you had to present yourself as fully ironic to do mm-hmm. that. And then the problem is if you get trapped in that ironic phase, you can't break it.
Right.
That's just like kind of what. It's crazy to complain about Anthony Jeselnik, but that's like the one thing where I don't quite like buy into where I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah, it's because like he's a great writer, but like I lean towards authenticity in all things. Like that's like what I strive to do. It's what I strive to be. It's what I like when I listen to music. It's what I project on the music that I listen to, because I'm sure there's music out there that I love that's like not actually real, and it would break my heart. I'm like, no, I wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree that I don't necessarily align with those people. I don't think I have a bit that's been 100% fiction, like where I wrote it in the sense, because like all of my stuff is about like what's going on in my life, or like what I've witnessed in real life. The only time it gets fictional is like when I have two true narratives that I push into one to make it work for the sake of it.
Oh, 100%. But it's still that's the thing. That's still real, even though it's not literal. Right. It's coming from such a real place. That's the reason it gets a laugh, is because it is real.
Yeah. So I don't think I think it takes a certain kind of talent to write 100% fictional scenarios. Like we'll throw Andrew Pinnell throw him a bone.
No,
you
didn't hear about that? He got me too to his office. He fucking jerked off.
Oh no! Shout out Rap Comedy.
No, yeah.
Shout out Rap Comedy.
He's a good boy. He could pull it off because he's a handsome boy, but he's a very distinct looking boy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where he's got little brother energy in a good way. So you expect him to do that.
Just be goofy.
Yeah. Versus like guys like us. No, I don't know. Like we're going to run into a similar thing where I think that we come off snobby. If I think I come off too snarky if I'm doing like the irony, like I'm talking down, and I don't mean to.
I find I can't sell it on stage if it's not real to me in some capacity.
Yes.
Like, because like so much of being up on stage is like being a salesman to these people. Like you need to sell the narrative. And if I can't, like if I made it up, I usually can't buy into it. And thus that doesn't come across. And so like that is where I struggle. And that's where I'm like, fuck it. Like then I got to write about what's real, because otherwise I can't get up there and sell it.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is like the absolute best way to word it. I was trying to say a similar thing to somebody recently. Selling it is like 100% like I think what comedy is, and I'm just now getting to where like I can sell whatever it is I'm selling. It's not even necessarily like the stuff that I'm writing now that I'm like, I don't think it's like what I want to do in even like 3 years necessarily, but I can sell it really well in a way, and it's like it feels realer, or at least I can convince myself that I feel it. I don't know if it's like I'm delusional.
I mean, there's a little bit of that, right? There has to be, because like again, what we're doing is not 100% narratively true. You know, like if you're taking two true things and making it one true thing, it's still like you have to buy in a little bit, and that takes in some kind of delusion. So if I'm not bought into it, I'm not selling it. Like that's like how I build set lists for shows. Like it's like that day, how am I feeling? Like, can I sell this today? And if the answer is no, then it's not going on the set list.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like, can I sell this today?
I do that with the beginning. Like, how do I put it? I'm going to kind of do the same jokes no matter what, because like what I have that works, I'm going to do the things that work. Like it depends on what the situation is. Like open mics obviously like one thing, but if it's like a show, I try to figure out how exactly I'm going to sell that exact thing rather than like, what can I sell today? It's like, all right, I've got to figure out like what my energy is today. Yeah. And either I got to fake it, which sometimes I've gotten to the point that sometimes I can do that, which is cool. Cause then it's like, if I can fake it every time, it's like, well, fuck
it. You can click in.
Yeah, I'm fine. But the problem is like, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
You can't fake it every time. So it's like, how are you going to sell it? And how are you going to sell it to the room? Because you can sell it a certain way, but if the room's light, it's gotta be different. What's up, guys? You gotta go a different way. You gotta be more. You can't go up there and be like,
Yeah, you can't.
Or you could.
You can't rely on the same tactics every single time. And these are just things that you learn as you grow and do more stand up. Like it's like why they say like just continue doing it. Yeah. Because like then you learn all of the different ways you can tell a single joke to make it work in different areas. Like which is the dream. But hell yeah, dude. Let's move on to the second question. Along this theme of satire, it seems Randy had a very difficult time with controversy and people misinterpreting the intentions of his music. If you were to guess, how frustrating would that life in this kind of cage be? Do you think he should have pivoted like at all, or is he right to stand his ground and continue making the music he did regardless?
He would admit that he should have pivoted.
Really?
He did kind of admit that
Okay.
in a couple times. There's one song that he did. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember who, or like I should have written it down. But basically, he did it slower, and he did it like in a weird voice, and he was like trying to do this to prove a point. Another group, did it, sped it up, and while he was doing it ironically of like I'm a ladies man, they did it like, yeah, let's fuck, and it worked, and that song's like a hit. Versus like he was like, I should have sped it up. Also, one of his album covers, he did like Kiss makeup.
Oh yeah, I saw the interview about that. He's
Yeah.
like, I shouldn't have done that.
I should not have done that.
Yeah.
I think it was the same interview. He's talking about he talks about the song too. Like he did it too slow. And another group like sped it up. I think it is a nightmare that haunts him to an extent because he wants that acceptance, but he can't do it any other way.
Yeah, it seems like a little like he's trapped a little bit in a tomb of his own making, right? Like he's like, I really want to do this irony thing, but like if the people aren't picking up what you're putting down, it's like you either pivot or you dig in, and I think he chose digging in.
Yeah,
and like which is fine, but I can't imagine doing that. I would rather pivot or not even get into that situation.
Yeah. It's interesting to me still because you do like you like everything around the album, but not the album itself.
Correct. That's like
fair.
How it felt. I that was part of my pedestal. I was like, this isn't my vibe, but like I 100% get it. Like I totally get it. It's just like it misses me sonically.
Interesting. Do you listen to a lot of? And I know this is kind of like derailing a little bit, but I'm just genuinely like curious, like because I know you're listening to more punk, you listen to more like heavier stuff. Is there any group you like that you would say maybe like influenced by Randy Newman, maybe like sonically kind of similar to Randy Newman, or like could you see like the breadcrumb back to Newman?
I guess if I were to make one up on the spot right now, I would say that Pup has a bit of irony and sarcasm in them. They're very meta in the sense that like they talk about themselves as a band, like in a lot of their albums, like or themselves as people, and like it's sort of like the third person view of themselves. Like I think their last record was called like Pup the Band like Melts Down or something like that, or like the unraveling of Pup the Band.
Yeah. And
they were talking about how like now that they've become more successful, they feel like a corporation and less like a band. And so they were like saying that it's like a lot of the themes of the record were like ironic in the sense that like we're a corporation now, we're not a band.
Yeah.
Like, and so I can see like they're funny. That's like half the reason I like them is that they're witty dudes.
Yeah.
And so I could probably trail some breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I think for sure there's a little bit there. For me, it was like Father John Misty was like kind of who
that's a good one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's doing Newman. I didn't realize how much he was just doing Randy Newman.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like he's doing a more like if Randy Newman actually gave a fuck about the music that he was surrounded by, that's what Father John Misty kind of does.
Yeah.
And his is definitely like a little bit more like self-absorbed. He's playing like the LA like which Newman does a little bit too.
Yeah.
Later songs, but I think Randy's a little bit Father John Misty, my big complaint about him is he's really trying so hard to be smart.
Yeah.
Like Randy, I don't think is trying so hard to do that. I think he's just really just fucking around.
Yeah.
Which kind of why I tend to like Randy Newman a little bit more.
Sure, it's a little more authentic in the sense that like he is the smart. Like versus like you can tell when people are trying.
Dude, you watch a Father John Misty interview. I love the guy. Unbearable.
Oh, is it? Oh, gross.
Listen, try to understand him.
Give it a shot.
Try to understand him. And even when you do understand him, you're like, you're saying nonsense.
Yeah, it's almost like Roger Waters, which I complain about with Carl Spaeth a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and now Roger's like in the Tories, they're out there.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude.
It's brutal.
Is he like, no, he's not, there's no way he's like, never mind, we won't get into politics. Did you know what I was going to say? Never mind. I do, that being said, I do really love Roger Waters, and I think he at least is adamant about what he believes to the point that he's willing to like fuck up his career.
Yeah, true. I mean, Roger Waters like played a key role in that band for sure. Do I believe it is the key role in which he thinks he played? No. He thinks he was the only reason that band existed, which is brutal.
No, David Gilmour is a much better musician.
100%.
Yeah.
And just seems like a chiller hang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at the very least, he's a chiller hang.
What he's able to do with like a pentatonic scale, like just kind of like bluesy, like simpler like stuff. Like he's like, not simple, obviously, but like, I don't know, man. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think getting stuck in that would scare the shit out of me. Like, it's like, to bring it back to the question, because like I've given advice to stand-ups before where I'm like, when I witness them try something that's completely out of their wheelhouse, I'll be like, is that something you can do forever? Because what if it pops? What if? You know, like, what if you do a joke in that way, you put it on Instagram, you put it on TikTok, whatever, and it just absolutely hits, and then you become that guy. Is this something you're comfortable being forever? As soon as you get the carrot, right? Is this something that you're capable of being?
I think there's a lot of comics that are that vapid and soulless.
that they would do it for sure.
Yeah,
but it'd be exhausting, and but I usually warn against the exhaustion.
And I would say those people, like, they're not like, it's like, you know how like there's just people at the open mic that are there to be famous.
Yes.
And it's like, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
Do you think...
I'm like, lay it out for me.
Do you think I'm never going to make any money doing this?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the dumbest thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm not... Yeah.
Any success from this is gravy on top of a life I'm building somewhere the fuck else. You know, like there's no way that like you can... Yeah.
The fact that, like, dude, like, for real, like... You should go into the, like, maybe not, you should go into it for whatever reason you want. But I think if you're going at it from, like, a career standpoint, I feel like you're going at it from, like, how can I just pay the bills doing this? How could I build something where if I can make, like, $60,000 a year doing this, I would be living the fucking dream.
Yeah.
Nobody could tell me shit.
It'd be the dream.
If I ever got to that point. You know what I mean? Like, just something, and that's like no money, but that's also like a crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To tell jokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tight.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. People get into it with like insane expectations. And then when they don't meet their expectations, they're like, the scene sucks. I'm like, no, the scene doesn't suck, dude. Your expectations are not meeting reality.
No, it's crazy. The fact that like it's cool that if you listen to like you're a big fan of podcasts, like right? What comedy podcasts do you like? Not to put you on the spot.
No, so the two comedy podcasts that I listen to the most regularly are Neil Brennan's Blocks and Conan Needs a Friend.
Yeah, Conan rules.
I fucking love Conan.
Also, maybe my biggest influence. I love Conan so much.
Conan rules so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity that Neil Brennan comes through working on material goes to go bananas. You get an opportunity to host, like, you know what I mean? Like, just that opportunity of like, oh, I get to hang out with this guy for like 3 days.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts. This guy that's like changed your life. And that's like a realistic thing that can happen.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, even like doing this show is a product of me starting back up in stand-up, right? Like, and I love this show. I do this shit for free, dude. Like, I like, this is something that I look forward to doing. You know what I'm saying? That's like the other piece of advice that's like on the back end of like telling comics to like, would you do this forever? Like, is like the other side of that is find something you can do forever, something that you enjoy process over outcomes. Like, if you enjoy the work, then it's not gonna, the rest will come.
Yeah.
It's the only common denominator between all successful people and whatever they're doing is that they didn't quit.
Yeah.
So find the pace in which you can, not quit and then keep going.
100%. I would argue with stand-up, like, the only thing that is fun about it is, like, the new joke and having the new joke work. Everything else sucks. Everything sucks. I don't care. I mean, driving's whatever, but if you have to drive, like, long distances for a gig, like, it's frustrating. It's not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, but dude, what else are you doing?
These people don't even, if you're featuring, if you're hosting, nobody gives a fuck about you. They don't even remember you. They don't remember you at all.
They're not here to see you, dog.
Yeah.
You're happening to them.
Yeah. Dude, sometimes you go up and you're hosting and it's like, I am ruining your time.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes, I am just here.
I'm happening to you right now.
Yeah, so that you guys will be quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
That is all this is.
Yep.
And you guys will walk past me in the hallway. You won't even recognize me. You think I like I'm gonna clean up the bathrooms afterwards.
Yeah.
That's how like little
And
you
I
guys
just
think.
might.
And yeah, sometimes I have to.
Sometimes I just might.
Sometimes
yeah.
I need $30. You know.
Yeah.
No. It's like I don't know, man. You can't come into it with any expectation.
Yeah, man. Stand-up's a wild beast. I love it a lot for a lot of weird reasons. But
Yeah.
like you have to do this.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you're gonna be very sorry if you don't.
yeah, I mean, dude, that's why most people drop after like 2 years. It's so hard. It's so hard. I love it. I almost fucking drop all the time.
It's also summer, dude. Like I was telling the Commonwealth folk that I was like, the summer blues have hit me because like last week mics were tough.
Yeah.
I was like, good God. But here we are. We're back. We do it more.
Yeah, last week was brutal.
But all right, man. Are you ready for the final question of the show?
Absolutely. Hit me.
All right. Final question. I feel like Randy Newman could have been a wildly successful comedian if he weren't also a prolific songwriter. Are there things in your life you think you'd be good at, but your specific talents lie elsewhere?
Yeah, I think, ironically enough, I think I would have been doing something very similar to Randy Newman if I had dude, I wrote I don't think we can play it on the podcast or not.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Randy Newman song I wrote.
Yeah.
It's literally just me trying to pretend to be Randy Newman.
What's the premise?
It's a guy. It's the guy's name is Dennis in Memphis. And
Okay.
he's a nightclub. Like, I pictured him as this alcoholic guy that he's playing like strip clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the strippers stop for a little bit, and then he comes out and sings. Nobody there gives a fuck about it.
Nobody wants him to do it. Yeah.
They're heckling him in the
Yeah.
song. So I had my buddies Donnie and Jack. Shout out. Shout out. Which band should I do? They have a ton of projects. So.
Sure.
Ego Trippers, Normac, Health Club, Queese. All right.
Hell yeah.
I got all four of them. They do a lot of shit. They're very, great.
Nice.
Incredible. But they helped me out with it, and they did background noise, so you hear them heckling this guy.
That's funny. Yeah.
And then the joke is it's a very genuine song I wrote,
Sure.
but I'm doing it as
Right. As like have that protective shield of like doing it as a different character.
yeah. In the '80s, he's kind of racist.
Sure.
He's like just
If
this
you're doing a Newman
grizzled-
song, you got to be a little bit.
You gotta be a
racist.
little racist. He's like he's like, yeah, and the Donnie and Jack rule, and dude,
Yeah.
I'll show you after this, and you can decide if you want to play it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if you will though. It's not that bad.
Okay.
I'm making it sound crazy. It's just kind of like it's a little wild.
Yeah. I think like I still have daydreams of being in a band. Like I think that's like the one thing that would be so fun. Like
yeah.
from the outside. You know, it's like I'm sure like cuz like just like stand-ups complain about doing stand-up, like bands complain about being bands. Like they're like touring sucks, like you're in this like shitty fucking van, like you have to love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my talents lie more in humor. And like that's like it doesn't even feel like humor is something that I try to achieve. It's something that happened to me like through growing
Molested
up.
by humor.
Molested by humor. No.
A David Stewart story.
Yeah. New special. But no, it feels like it's just like living the life I've lived and like having my certain coping mechanisms be humor. Like I feel a little bit like I got to do something with this. And so I feel like if my talents didn't lie there, I would have or if I could go back in time, I would be like, no, stick to the piano. Like stick to the thing.
Yeah. But here's the thing. You naturally didn't want to. And it's not because, like, it has nothing to do with discipline. It has nothing to do with, sometimes it's circumstance. Sometimes it's like, hey, my parents can afford lessons, whatever it is. You naturally ended up in this direction.
No, humor is way more natural to me than music is. But like my grass is greener, like situation. I'm like, it's so much cooler to be a musician. But like there are musicians out there that like I wish I'd fucking did stand up.
Yeah, they all envy this. And you know what it is? I think it's because imagine if every joke you wrote, you had to like run it by like Anthony Jeselnik, who's like a different style than you.
Being in a band, it has to be brutal. Like stand up is so great because it's just me. like I don't work well with others. Like it's nice in that way. It's like why I started to not like improv after a while. I was like, I don't want to work with you. I want to work with me.
Yeah.
It's like control issues ultimately.
Well,
got me
somebody
to
always tries to steal the show in improv. They're like, and I'm the star.
Yeah, someone steals it every time. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm going to do this impression I have prepared.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. I have not a ton of kind things to say about improv, but and I'm sure improv has not so kind things to say about stand-ups.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ultimately it. Yeah, running things by a band, like you got to be cool as hell with 4 people, and like I'm not confident I'm cool as hell with 4 people like that. You know,
it's tough. You have to. It's a lot of like ego you have to get out of the way, and the problem is the more successful you become,
the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have money, you have obligations, you have bills, and then on top of that, you're like, now to make this about me because everybody thinks they're Roger Waters.
Yeah, they're the ones who think they made this thing a success. Yeah, it's the ego game in the music industry. I'm sure is ass. Like that's like also why I gravitate towards comedy is because like ultimately like some of the more like there are. I mean, obviously there's outliers to every rule, but like I've met more chill stand-ups than I've met chill musicians. Like as far as like they are successful, but they are also just kind of cool, and you're like they're good hangs.
Yeah, you have to be relatable at some level to do a stand-up. You don't have to be relatable at all to do music, which is one thing I do envy. I wish like you could just go off in your little imagination and like just make something that only 7 people really like. Versus because you don't have to share it to a room full of drunk people.
Yeah, a room full of strangers who don't even want you to be there.
Yeah, and open mics happen to people.
Yeah.
God, what a crazy thing to like force upon people, and then when people get mad that it's not going well.
I laugh at the people that get like I laugh at, like everything about open mics to me, all the things that bring me joy at an open mic are things that are traditionally bad. Like if a joke whiffs, love it. If someone gets pissed that there's even a comedy show happening, funny. Like I was walking out of a bar that like I had done my set, I was headed home, and then like a guy was walking up on the phone with his friends getting hyped to go to the bar. He got to the door and he's like, fuck, it's comedy night. And he's like, we're not fucking coming here. And like
the right response.
Right. Yeah, the right response. If you're there to go hang out with your buddies and grab a beer, not it.
Even if you were there for comedy, not the place to see comedy.
Yeah, not it.
You're like, we'll wait till Friday. We'll go to the Funny Bone.
Yeah, we'll go to a legitimate club where people bring their good stuff. Like open mics are such an insane concept.
It's crazy. It is fun to watch, kind of, but like, yeah, dude, it's nuts.
Oh well, after running one for a year, I got exhausted of watching everybody. I like watching 30 comics get up. Or at the time, I was capping it at 20. Like I was like, after 20, I'm like, I can't do this. Like that's why I passed the torch after a year. Is that I can't do it anymore. It was killing my drive. I was
you know what kind of annoys me? You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, tell me.
Have you seen that video about this?
Have you heard about this?
I'm sorry. This episode's gonna be like 4 hours long. I do apologize. I don't think we talked about Randy Newman in like 20 minutes, but
well, that's the joy. Like it's balance.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that as a critique of the podcast. Yeah. I enjoy this. Like I like all of it, but yeah, I just feel bad if like I'm droning on.
No,
but
you're good.
Here, you know what really grinds my gears? Have you seen this video about this? I feel like my biggest advice to people that are like starting open mics and like starting to do open mics, not starting one, but starting to perform and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is gonna sound like condescending, but I don't mean it like that. Try every single time.
Yeah.
I hate it when somebody shows up to an open mic and like phones it in.
Yeah.
Early too. It's like, dude, I know the room's not great. I know it's not great.
Yeah.
It's hard. This sucks. But please, dude, we have, and I'm guilty of doing the thing.
Oh yeah.
But like, we have 20 more people to go. You can't blow the room up at 5.
Oh yeah.
You can't. That's disrespectful to the people. And like, there's people that come and if you only have 3 good minutes, do those 3 good minutes
and then
bail and do it as good as you can. And maybe I'll even say this: if you want to stretch a little bit, stretch, but try.
Yeah.
I just really get frustrated whenever it's like people that are like, it's like, why did you even come here if you're not even going to try to like do it?
My gripe is like if you don't bring some kind of change to the mic. So if you do the exact same jokes in the exact same order with the exact same cadence what are you doing here? Like, so mics are like, mics are like going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So at the gym, if you're doing progressive overload kind of stuff, you're adding a rep to an exercise every week. Approach comedy the same.
Yeah.
Please.
I would say you could even do, and I do this, I've been doing this for a little bit, the same jokes, because like I need to figure out the flow of them.
Yes.
Do them with the energy try playing to the room. Then.
Yes.
Do
change
it like something small. I will do the same jokes so that I know the path and like that it gets me more comfortable with it. But I'm going to do it slightly different every time in terms of just like even just presentation of like.
There's a lot more you can work on than people think. It's not a writing game all the time. Like some people are like, I'm not writing enough. And I'm like, that's not it. Like, or like, it doesn't have to be it. Like I go through dry spells just like everyone else when it comes to writing. So during the dry spell, what comes naturally to do is start working on running order. Start working on like, which jokes go with which. What is the, like adding tags to an existing joke or like riffing off of a joke, like do something.
Yeah. Dude, I will even go, if you go up there, you can go up there with nothing, and if you're going to riff, try your absolute hardest, and even if it's not funny, I think it will go better than you think.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, if you were absolutely, like, trying, you're not shitting on the room, which, guilty. If you're not shitting on the room,
totally,
you're actually, like, trying to build something. That's more, especially if you're like 3 years in, 4 or 5, I'm saying that because that's where I'm at. Where I'm like, I'm trying to like figure out how to like, if the room's not good, fix it by like riffing, and that's like hard.
The answer is be a person.
Yeah.
Like the answer is be a person. So many people get in the writing game and they're like, but they're not being a person in the room with them. You're not different, special, or better than any of these people in this room right now. You are one of them who happens to be up there right now. That's it. Work on that energy. Like be a dude, like, or a woman. Be whatever. Just
And if you're a woman, be a dude.
Be one of us. Be
one of the guys.
Be one of us. Be one of the gang.
Come on.
But that's basically it. Yeah, it's so frustrating to watch that. But
yeah. And you know what you can't say about Randy Newman? You can't say he didn't try. That dude tried. Tried a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that is the full spin.
Yeah, that's it, gang. We did it. That really went on a tangent, but I loved the tangent. And I would love to be a songwriter.
Yeah,
it'd be sick.
It'd be so great.
But yeah, man, hell yeah. So at the end, we've reached the end of the show. Do you have anything coming up that you want to plug? This episode will be coming out in 2 days. So starting 3 days. So starting 3 days from now, you got anything coming up in the next couple of months that you want to plug?
I have some shows here and there. I'm hosting a Commonwealth September 20th and 21st for Zach Holmes.
Nice.
Like Zackass.
Oh yeah. The Jackass guys. That's gonna rip.
Yeah, so that'd be fun. But otherwise, dude, for real, like just if you're in Cincinnati, go to the Cincinnati, like if you have Facebook, go to the Cincinnati Facebook group, follow that, join that page, the Cincinnati stand-up comedy page, and any show you see there, please go to that.
Yeah, just support your local comedy scene. Even if you're not in Cincinnati, like, support your local comedy scene. Because I've done a couple of comedy, like, I've entered a couple of scenes in my life. Like, it's like I've done St. Louis, Denver, like, all these things, like, open mics out there. And I'm like, just go support your local comedy scene. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
And if you want to send me a DM on Instagram, like, what show to go to? I'll tell you the good ones. I'll tell you the bad ones.
We'll really let it out.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. There's some stinky ones.
Real stinkers.
Real stinky ones. And those are the ones I run.
Yeah.
So don't come to anything.
Those are the ones I produce.
Don't do it. Actually, yeah, if you're in the Fort Thomas area of Kentucky, I run me and Allison's staff run a show at Higdon Chapter Bookstore.
Heck yeah.
That's fun.
It is a fun show. I've gone to a few.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's
good.
fun.
Little intimate room. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Go buy a book. Go watch some comedy.
Yeah.
And but all right, man. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Thanks so much. And
thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure, dog. And thank you, everybody. If you've watched this long, congratulations. That rips really hard. And then I'm just gonna one last plug: like, comment, subscribe. That helps the algorithm a ton if you interact with the episode as far as like liking and commenting. It just helps push it. I'd love to continue doing this, and it's super fun to watch episodes pop off at random. So it'd be cool if this were one of them, just like any other one. But that's going to do it for us today at the Full Spin Club. Thanks so much. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.